Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to week 12 and welcome to Razor Sharp Picks. We're trying to make some money. We're trying to make some green. Unfortunately, it's not going so well recently. A little bit in the red, but behind on those units. Didn't do the math completely after last week. Not a great week last week. And we'll get more into that, obviously, as I figure out where we're at in the standings. But we'll get into week 12. Just a little bit of house cleaning first. First, we want to thank Mr. Rogers Homes for sponsoring hashtag sports. Go to Mr. Rogers Homes for anything real estate related in Arizona. MrRogersHomes.com has you covered. Make sure you check them out. And again, thank you for their sponsorship. Also, I wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. We are about 2 hours away from midnight Eastern Standard Time, which means 2 hours away from Thanksgiving. 24 hours from now, where I'll be sitting watch the end of the San Francisco-Seattle game. Full to the bone. Not able to move off our couches. Hopefully enjoying some football. Cameron already in here giving us his picks. I'm going to let you know my picks go game by game. We're also going to do something a little bit different tonight. We're not just going to do like a half-hour live stream, whatever. It's the night before Thanksgiving, and all through the house, we have some playoff football to talk about. Are the Bills in the picture? That doesn't rhyme with house, but it doesn't matter because we're going to talk about the playoff picture, both AFC and NFC, and see who's in, who's out, and who we think has a chance to sneak up in there later on this season. Still week 12, lots of football to go. Lots of things to be decided, but starts with week 12. So let's go down this list real quick. And I'm going to tell you why I'm winning both straight up and against the spread. And it starts, of course, with Thanksgiving. And it starts at 12 o'clock, 12:30. First game, Packers at Lions, Detroit Lions, coming off a come-from-behind victory against the Bears last week. The Packers with an impressive victory last week where, listen, Jordan Love looked like a little bit like an NFL quarterback. A little bit like he's almost getting something. He's getting somewhere. Maybe he can do some of this stuff. So can the Packers keep that momentum going against the Detroit Lions? Listen, if you look at the stats, Thanksgiving games against the spread, hitting at just below 70%. I don't know, for the past 5 years, something like that. So I feel like that's a good enough sample size to let you say, hey, we can pick against the spread in a lot of these matchups. Now, there is one caveat to that we'll talk about later. And listen, all these numbers, they all contradict each other, and you can't be sure of anything, right? You can't be sure of anything. So that's why we're here to try to make sense of it all. But since I'm in the red, am I really making that much sense of it all? I'm down at least 3 units so far this season. Not where we want to be. Hopefully that changes, and it starts, like I said, tomorrow. We got the Detroit Lions at home against the Green Bay Packers. Currently, according to the betting app I use, they're 8-point favorites. I like the Lions. I like the 8 points. Give me the 8 points. The Lions win this game, and they're going to win this one by more than a touchdown. Give me the Lions to beat the Packers at home by more than 8 points. I talked a little bit about a caveat to that against the spread record for Thanksgiving Day games. Did you know? Dak Prescott is either 1-4 or 1-5 against the spread on Thanksgiving Day games. And here he is getting almost a 2-touchdown spread. Currently, the spread sits at 13.5. Listen, the Cowboys are going to win this game. And the Cowboys have had a lot of double-digit spreads lately, and they've covered most of them. But I don't think they're going to cover this one. Give me Sam Howell. Give me the Washington Commanders. Listen, did you know Sam Howell was leading the league in passing yards? Like, who knew that? Going into today, who knew that? I didn't realize that until this morning. So Sam Howell leading the league in passing yards. I think this offense for Washington doing a lot better than I definitely thought would. And I'm sure a lot of you thought the same thing. A lot of credit needs to be given to Eric Bieniemy going to Washington. Weren't sure what he could do now that he wasn't under the wings of Andy Reid. He's proving that he is a decent, if not good, offensive coordinator. Maybe the type of a coordinator that the Bills need. You know, who knows? If this Joe Brady thing doesn't work out, maybe give Eric Bieniemy a chance. But I don't think he wants to be offensive coordinator anymore. I think he's looking for that head coaching job. Then you go to the night game. No Geno Smith. for the Seattle Seahawks. And listen, the San Francisco 49ers getting things right a little bit over the past few weeks. I really like them. San Fran currently sitting at 7-point favorites. This one might be on the number, not sure, but I like San Fran. I think San Fran might win by more than just a touchdown. Give me San Fran to win this game. Give me San Fran to cover that 7-point spread. So those are your Thanksgiving games, but let's not forget there is one more game. C. Rose, I hope you're right, and we'll talk about that game in a little bit. There's one more game that's not on Sunday. Well, that is on special time, I should say, and that is for the first time ever this season. We have a Black Friday game, and odd time. It's at 3 p.m. Who's going to watch this game? Honestly, let me know in the comment section. Are you going to watch this game? I might miss this one. I might unfortunately have to miss this one. I'm not 100% sure. Plus, it's at Amazon Prime. So if you don't have Amazon Prime, you're going to miss it anyway. But the Dolphins go into New York, New Jersey to play the Jets. The Jets announcing that Wilson will not be their starting quarterback this week. So that might lead to a little bit of an issue. The Dolphins, we know that their defense is not the best, but Jalen Ramsey has definitely improved that defense over the past few weeks, and they've been playing pretty hard. Dolphins currently right now sitting as 10-point favorites in this matchup. Listen, I think that the Jets defense can only do so much in this contest. Now, I think that the under is going to hit here. I think the Jets defense does hold the Miami Dolphins offense to a minimum. I think that Tyreek Hill does not go off like he has in so many games so far this season. I think the Dolphins win this one. So give me the Dolphins to win. Give me the Jets to cover that 10-point spread. Now we move on to Sunday. Sunday at the Monster Truck Rally. No Monster Truck Rallies that I know of, but plenty of football, as there are no bye weeks this week. I don't know if I told anyone, but there are no bye weeks this week as we get ready, as we do the Thanksgiving week. I think there's more bye weeks to come later on, but not right now. So we go into Sunday, and it starts with the Pittsburgh Steelers, Cincinnati Bengals. Listen, it's now been well documented. It's been well documented about what's happened in Cincinnati. Joe Burrow out for the season, torn ligament in his hand. Now, they have had a little bit longer than a week because they had the Thursday night game last week to get ready with this young new quarterback. So there's part of me here that wants to take the Bengals. There really is. At home, I think the Bengals have a decent shot here to win this game. The Steelers just fired their offensive coordinator, Matt Canada. What will they have? Will it be like the Buffalo Bills, who fired their offensive coordinator, Ken Dorsey? Following week, they did a good job against a really good New York Jets defense. What's going to happen here? Now, in that game, Buffalo was at home, so they had a little bit more home cooking. Hey, Daniel, good to see you. Glad to see you in the chat, and I'm just going over the Sunday slate of games. If you missed the Thanksgiving slate, I have the Lions beating the Packers, covering a 7.5-point spread, actually 8-point spread. It moved up recently today. I have the Cowboys winning, but I do not have them covering what is currently a 13.5-point spread. Dak Prescott 1-5 against the spread in Thanksgiving Day games. So that kind of leads me to think Washington will cover that spread. Dallas, however, will win that game. I have the 49ers winning and covering the spread. No Geno Smith for Seattle. The Friday game, I have the Jets covering a 10-point spread, but the Dolphins winning that one. And we start on Sunday with the Bengals Steelers. Again, I don't expect much out of the offense of Pittsburgh, and the Cincinnati defense realizes that they've been asked to step up a little bit. Now, of all the defenses in the AFC North, the Bengals might be the worst one, but that doesn't mean they're not good. That doesn't mean that they can't get the job done. I think the Bengals, as long as Cincy does not turn the ball over a whole bunch, which, listen, against the Steelers defense, you can do that. But as long as this young quarterback is able to maintain, not turn the ball over, he'll get sacked a few times. He's going to get hit. He's going to get hit a lot by T.J. Watt. He's going to get hit by this defensive front seven. But as long as he can, force punts, let the team punt instead of turning the ball over and giving the Steelers short fields. I like the Bengals to win this one at home. I know they're underdogs. I know the Steelers still have their starting quarterback, but it's Kenny Pickett. So, you just don't know what to think. The Steelers should win, in my opinion, with Burrow being out, says John. And I don't disagree with that. They should win. They should win. but will they is the question. And that's a question that we'll have to wait Sunday to see. I don't know if they can. I think they should as well. That's why they're favorites. But I like the Bengals at home. Again, having a little bit longer rest to get ready for this game. And who knows what their new offensive coordinator in Pittsburgh is going to do. Because we saw with Ken Dorsey and Joe Brady, listen, the playbook isn't going to change overnight. It's not going to change overnight. So can the interim offensive coordinator get the Steelers offense in a rhythm? That's what we need to see. Can the Steelers offensive coordinator get the Steelers in a rhythm, kind of like Joe Brady did in the second half with the Buffalo Bills? Moving to Houston, great game in Houston. This would be the 1 o'clock game that I'm most interested in on Sunday. You got the Houston Texans, who beat Jacksonville earlier this year, about a month and a half ago, going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars. So Jaguars favored by 1.5. Listen, I know, as I just said, the Texans beat Jacksonville and Jacksonville a month and a half ago, but Trevor Lawrence has been playing at a different level over the past few weeks. Trevor Lawrence is proving that he is one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. And we've seen like spots of this from Trevor Lawrence in his career. He plays really well, and you think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And then he plays kind of mediocre at times, and you're just like, wait a second, who is the real Trevor Lawrence here? Will the real Trevor Lawrence please stand up? And in a game like this, where you have the potential, in my eyes, offensive rookie of the year in C.J. Stroud, they're challenging Jacksonville more than anyone thought Jacksonville would be challenged in the AFC South this season. This is a game where Trevor Lawrence needs to step up. This is a game where the Jacksonville Jaguars need to step up and say, no, this is our division this year. Houston might have the division the next few years after this because of how C.J. Stroud is playing. But this year, the division goes to Jacksonville. And if Jacksonville loses this game, you wonder, is Trevor Lawrence that guy? If the Jacksonville Jaguars don't win the AFC South this season, you have to begin to question some of the things going on in Jacksonville. I know C.J. Stroud is having a phenomenal season, and he's going to be AFC Offensive Rookie of the Year. But that doesn't give Jacksonville an excuse to lose this division, because Houston was that bad last year. A quarterback should change things a bunch, and he has. Not turning the ball over is always huge in the NFL. But at the same time, this was Jacksonville's division at the beginning of the season, and it should still be Jacksonville's division. Jacksonville needs to make a statement, beat the Texans, and get that 2-game lead in the division. Going to New Jersey, where the New Jersey Giants, New Jersey Giants, play the New England Patriots. The Giants 3-point underdogs in this one. Giants coming off a win against the Washington Commanders. An impressive win against the Washington Commanders. The New England Patriots, unsure about the quarterback position. I think that Mac Jones may not be starting in this game. I think it might be Zeppi or whatever his name is there. I like the Patriots to win this matchup, but I think the Giants cover that 3.5-point spread. This is going to be a close game, low-scoring game, kind of an ugly game to watch, in my opinion. The Giants cover that spread, probably keep it close, but the Patriots are going to win this game, in my opinion. I know both these teams kind of lousy. I think it was a fluke what the Giants did last week. In fact, thinking of it, I might like New England in the spread here, but I definitely like New England to win this matchup. Give me New England to win. I'll take the Giants to cover the spread, but I'm not 100% sold on that one, unfortunately. So we'll see how that goes on Sunday. Then you go on to the Falcons playing the Saints. I don't understand how the Saints are underdogs in this matchup. I'm not going to lie. I think the Saints are the much better team. I think Derek Carr might not be playing in this matchup. I think that Michael Thomas has already been ruled out as well. But even with that being said, Derek Carr hasn't played in the last few matchups for the Saints, or at least a few matchups this season. And I feel like they still look pretty solid, even without him. I like what they have there with Tyreek Hill. He comes in, he creates a spark for the Saints team. He's always tough to take down. He's always tough to prepare for. And for that reason, I really like the Saints in this matchup. I know they're on the road, but I just don't trust the Atlanta Falcons in this matchup. Again, their offense just not pulling its own weight this season like we thought they would. Bijan Robinson not being the focal point that we thought he should be at the beginning of the season. I haven't really been sold on the Falcons much this year, and I'm not going to be sold on them here. Give me the Saints to win this game. Saints beating that 1-point spread. Last A couple more 1 o'clock games here. Give me a second here. I'm actually working on the app as I'm talking the games out with you guys. Tampa Bay Buccaneers going on the road playing the Indianapolis Colts. Colts 2.5-point favorites. Again, what we've seen out of Colts been so up and down. I think Minshew's still starting for the Colts. Tampa Bay with Mayfield. You know, they lost to San Fran last week, but they looked good at times. Good enough where I think they can win this matchup. Again, might be a little bit of an upset, but give me the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to beat the Indianapolis Colts. Again, another matchup I'm really not looking forward to. I think this one, over-under is 44. I would definitely nail the under on this contest. Give me the Buccaneers to win this one, beating a 2.5-point spread as they are the underdogs. Moving to Tennessee, where the Titans are 3.5-point favorites against the Carolina Panthers. The Titans, I think, are just the better team here. I like the Titans to win this matchup and cover that 3.5-point spread. There's nothing good. I agree with this comment completely as well. As I say here and talk about the Titans-Panthers game, you know, the Panthers at this point might be looking towards the draft. Remember, they could have 2 top 5 draft picks if everything goes the way, or 2 top 10 draft picks if everything goes the way with the trade of DJ Moore last offseason, and the Bears not looking so hot. So we'll see what happens there with the Panthers. But the Titans, you know, I still feel like the Titans with Derrick Henry. I think the Titans are at a place where they want to win now, right? They're not in a rebuilding phase. And I think Vrabel is a good coach who wants to get this team on the winning track, get this culture back to where it should be. I like the Titans to win this matchup. I like the Titans to cover a 3.5-point spread at home. Browns-Broncos, 1.5-point spread. The Broncos, 1.5-point favorites right now in this one. And I'm seeing a lot of upsets this week. I don't like when I see a lot of upsets like this, but I do see the Browns coming away with a victory here. I know it's in Denver, but this Browns defense is going to make it hard for Russell Wilson to figure things out. I know Denver's on a 3-4 game winning streak right now, looking really good. But there are still some things in Denver that I just don't like. That this offense still isn't consistent enough for me. Remember, it was just a few weeks against the Bills where they were unable to put the Bills away when the Bills were trying to hand them that game. I think that, you know, it was good for them to prevail in that one, but I think they could have done a better job on offense, getting more done. I like the Browns defense a whole heck of a lot better than I do the Bills defense. So for that reason alone, give me the Browns to win this game. The Browns beat a 1.5-point spread. Rams favored against the Cardinals. Listen, the Cardinals have looked better with Murray. I think they've looked the best that they've had all season, obviously. I think that Murray is one of the better quarterbacks in the league, and he's going to prove that again only through time. I think that he's going to prove that he can be, I think this is the best he's played in his career is what I meant to say. And I think that he's going to prove that he can be a franchise quarterback for a team, even if it's not the Cardinals, because I don't think it's going to be the Cardinals anymore. I think he's going to prove that he can be a franchise quarterback, or at least try to be once again. I like the Rams in this contest. Matthew Stafford playing well. I think Cooper Kupp might be playing this matchup. Not 100% sure about that. Obviously, that would change things a little bit. I expected a high offensive game in this one. I think that both teams can score some points. I would take the over at 44.5. But give me the Rams to win this one against the Cardinals. A lot of divisional matchups also this week that I'm noticing. Then we go to our Buffalo Bills. Can the Bills pull off the upset? A lot of people in Bills Mafia hoping that they can against the Philadelphia Eagles. If you look at the Eagles' schedule, this is primed to be kind of like a game where the Eagles might not be playing up to their best stuff. They just beat the Chiefs, coming off a game against the Chiefs. And then after this game, that game is against the 49ers and Cowboys, okay? So this could very well be a letdown game for the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Buffalo Bills will be ready to pounce because they need every win they can get at this point. Offense looked like it was gaining momentum last week against the Jets. But listen, the Bills have a plus 104 point differential this season. It is insane to me. They have a plus 104 point differential this season, and they're only 6-5. What does that tell you? That means that this offense is inconsistent. Not that this offense can't play. They can play, but they're inconsistent. Can Joe Brady find that consistency and give the Eagles a tough matchup. If not, the Eagles are going to wipe the floor with them. But can the Bills on the road beat the Philadelphia Eagles? Listen, back-to-back games. The Bills have the Eagles this week, a bye next week, and then they have the Kansas City Chiefs. So they play the Super Bowl opponents, competitors, whatever you want to say, the Super Bowl teams, back-to-back in their schedule with a bye week sandwich in there. Need to win at least one of those. Would love to win two of those. If you win one, however, it really needs to be that Chiefs game in 2 weeks. I like the Bills in this matchup, though. Like I said, the Eagles due for a letdown game, and there's lots of big games coming up for the Eagles, including the Niners and the Cowboys, where they might be looking a little bit ahead. The Bills need this win. Another upset here. Give me the Bills to beat the Philadelphia Eagles. Chiefs get right on the road, beating the Las Vegas Raiders. I think the Raiders at home put up a fight. We've seen what their new head coach Pierce has done at home. 2-0 so far at home as the interim head coach. I think that is a good sign for the Las Vegas Raiders. But this Kansas City Chiefs team, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, they're going to get things right. So I think the Chiefs get the victory here. However, I think the Raiders do cover that 8.5 point spread. So give me the Raiders to cover, but give me the Chiefs to win that matchup. Ravens Chargers. I like the Ravens to win this matchup. I think the Ravens look at the fact they're the number one seed in the AFC, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute when we talk about the current playoff picture and everything that's going on there. I think the Chargers do cover that 3.5 point spread. I think the Chargers keep this game close, kind of like they did against the Lions a few weeks ago. I think this Ravens team might just be a little bit too much for them, however. Give me the Ravens to win this matchup, but give me the Chargers to cover 3.5 points. And then on Monday, I like the Vikings to win this game. I like the Vikings to cover a 3.5 point spread. I just don't like the Bears at all this year, whether it be Justin Fields, whoever the quarterback is. I just don't like them at all. I think that they are definitely a letdown this season, probably one of the most disappointing teams so far in 2023. A lot of hype coming into the season. In fact, I was someone who was saying the Bears might have a shot to win the division this year going into 2023. Luckily, I didn't place any money on that one, but I did think that going into the season, and definitely a letdown. Definitely a letdown if you are a Bears fan. But those are my picks. Again, no bye weeks, so putting in every single pick this week. Again, straight up, I like the Lions, Cowboys, Niners, Dolphins, Jaguars, Bengals, Titans, Saints, Buccaneers, Patriots, Browns, Rams, Bills, Chiefs, Ravens, Vikings. Against the spread, I like Lions, Commanders, San Fran, Jets, Jaguars, Bengals, Titans, Saints, Buccaneers, Giants, Browns, Rams, Bills, Raiders, Chargers, and Vikings. Those are my picks. Let me know what you think in the comment section, if you will. I saw Cameron put his picks earlier. You feel free to give me your picks as well. As we move on, again, I don't want to just do a 23-minute video about picks. Who cares? It's Thanksgiving. Let's have a little fun. Again, from everyone here at Hashtag Sports, make sure that you and yours have a great Thanksgiving holiday. Enjoy it and enjoy some food, some friends, some family. However you enjoy your Thanksgiving, be sure to do that. Have a turkey leg for me and the guys. Really do appreciate you. I think Bills won't go less than 10 wins. Well, listen, if they get 10 wins, they're going to be in the playoffs. The way the playoff picture in the AFC is shaping up, if they get 10 wins, I think that they are going to be in the playoffs. Speaking of the playoffs, let's take a look, Cameron, at the current playoff picture for the AFC and NFC. We're going to look at this, obviously, with the loss last week by the Chiefs to the Philadelphia Eagles and the wins by the Baltimore Ravens, sitting at 8-3. Chiefs in at 7-3, a half game behind. The Ravens currently have the number one seed as they play the Chargers this week. Again, I do not think the Ravens are going to relinquish that number one seed. Patrick Mahomes has still yet to play an away playoff game. To me, that's a remarkable stat. Good for him. I mean, it's remarkable in the fact that it shows you how good the Chiefs have been with Patrick Mahomes as their quarterback. Been as good as advertised. Nothing bad to say about the Chiefs at all. Andy Reid always has them playing well. But I think that it's time for them to take a little slip in the standings and force them to play an away playoff game. I think they're going to win the AFC West. I think there's no doubt about that at this point. Who's their closest competition? Denver, with their winning streak. Not going to be much of a threat there. But I would like to see them maybe the 2, maybe even the 3 seed, as you see the Jaguars and Dolphins tied record-wise with the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs hold a tiebreaker against the Dolphins because they beat them earlier this year. But they can still keep falling. They can still keep falling. Those are your division winners for the AFC and NFC. The Ravens winning the division right now. In fact, we can also take a look at the division standings if you would like while we're here to show you where other teams sit in the standings. So if you look right now, Miami up 1.5 games on the Buffalo Bills. Cleveland sitting at 7-3, only half a game back of the Baltimore Ravens, but now no Deshaun Watson for the rest of the year. How will that affect things? Pittsburgh sitting at 6-4, and then Cincinnati 5-5, but again, now no Joe Burrow. How will that affect things? Okay, Mahomes has played road playoff games in the Super Bowl, neutral game sites, but I know the one was in, like the one against the Bucs was in Tampa, and how did they do? They lost, but even though it was in Tampa, I think the Super Bowl is still considered a neutral site matchup, no matter who plays in it. You look at the AFC South, Jacksonville again, a game up on Houston, but they play each other this week. In Kansas City, 1.5 games up on the Denver Broncos. Wouldn't mind seeing Denver catch Kansas City, but if Denver catches Kansas City, that's more than likely one spot taken away from the Buffalo Bills' chances of making it in the playoffs. Not a fan of that at all. So I think Kansas City Chiefs have that division pretty well. That's 2 games. So it's 2 games back. The Broncos are the Chiefs. They have a good chance of winning that division there. But those are your division winners in the AFC. You look at the wild cards right now. You got the Browns, Texans, Steelers. And listen, looking at this from a non-Bills fan perspective, there are some really good matchups here. Would love to see the Browns play the Dolphins. Would love to see how Tua would react to a suffocating Browns defense in the AFC wildcard round. Now, I would love to see that matchup a lot more if Deshaun Watson was the quarterback for the Browns. I feel like that would be a better matchup. But at the same time, would still love to see how this Dolphins offense would do against, in my opinion, either number 1 or number 2 defense in the NFL. A young Texans team that would go up against the Jaguars, up and coming team themselves, be a divisional rematch, of course, for those 2 teams. Would love to see that. I'm going to love to see that this weekend and see what that does. If the Texans win that matchup, you'll see the Jacksonville Jaguars in the wild card next week when we do our playoff picture as well as our picks. We're going to do this the rest of the season. Bengals will go 6-11 without Joe Burrow. It's very possible. It's very possible. Steelers are sitting at the 7th seed right now, playing the Bengals next week. They're definitely on the bubble. And again, just nothing about that offense is exciting. Right now, they would play the Chiefs. And to be honest with you, I think the Steelers would get dismantled by the Chiefs if they played them in the first round. But that's my opinion. Again, Steelers defense may keep them in some games in the playoffs if they make it that far. But I just don't see the Steelers offense doing enough to get them in the playoffs. You look on the bubble, you got the Bills, the Colts, the Broncos, and the Bengals. Now, the bad thing for the Buffalo Bills fans is you look at a lot of these teams, the Broncos, the Bengals, you look up a lot of these teams we've lost to or we're losing tiebreakers to anyhow. And that's just not a good sign. Lost to the Jaguars. So we're kind of hoping, if you're a Bills fan, you're hoping the Jaguars beat the Texans this weekend. That's what you're hoping for. Because we want the Jags to win the division. Now, if you're a Bills fan, of course, you're hoping that the Dolphins find another loss here in their schedule, and then the Bills beat them the final week of the season to win the division. But if that doesn't happen, you want to try to open up some lanes to make it in the wild card. Because, listen, guys, the Bills are the type of team right now, veteran leadership, guys who have been there before. I would not be concerned about the Buffalo Bills in a wild card spot. That wouldn't concern me really much at all. I feel like they would have a good shot, even on the road, to make a good run in the playoffs. The Colts sitting at 5-5, third in the AFC South. They still have to make it through some tough competition. I mean, they still play their division, which means they still play the Texans. They still play the Jaguars. They have a tough road if they're going to make it into the wild card picture. They're sitting at 5-5, a half game back of the Bills, a game back of the Steelers for that number 7 spot. But I think it's going to be really tough for the Indianapolis Colts the rest of the way. The Broncos, to me, are, no pun intended, a wild card. They're what? 1-4 in a row, sitting at 5-5, have beaten teams like the Bills, have beaten the Chiefs. They have looked really good, but can they keep it up? You know, it reminds me a lot of going for a come from behind victory in a sport, right? It's easy. Well, it's a task in itself to get up to that playoff picture once again. Once you get yourself in a hole, it's another thing altogether to get over that hump and get into the playoffs. They've won 4 in a row to get to 5-5. Are they just going to keep on winning? Are they going to win out? I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm looking at the Denver Broncos, and I'm just saying I just don't think they're that good of a team to win out the rest of the way. So how many losses can they have left? 2? Maybe 3? Because if you look at their schedule, now let's look at their schedule together. Can they get that done? Can they accomplish that? And maybe make a run at the playoffs. So let's look at the Broncos schedule. Where are the Broncos? Broncos. Where you at? There you are. All right, so let's look at the Broncos. Play the Browns this weekend. Can they get that win? I have the Browns winning that one. Can they get that win? I think as Bills fans, we would want to see the Broncos beat the Browns this weekend, opening up another wild card spot. But after the Browns in December, they got the Texans in Houston. Can they win that one? Not sure. Against the Chargers. Can they win that one? The Chargers are also going to be right there as far as do or die for a playoff spot. Good offense there in Los Angeles. Can they get that done? At Detroit. So they have back-to-back away games to start off December. That's nuts. That Detroit game in Detroit, week 15. You know, what do you think about that game? I would put that as a loss. So you're looking at home against the Browns, away at the Texans, away at the Chargers, away at the Lions. Like, can you go 2-2? Can you go 3-1 in that stretch? Because that might be what it takes. Then you play the Patriots, you play the Chargers again in Denver, and then at Las Vegas to end the season. So this is not a cakewalk schedule by any stretch of the imagination. Now you look, they beat the Chiefs, they beat the Bills, they beat the Vikings. What can they do? Can they continue this hot run? It's going to be interesting to see. We'll see what happens this weekend as they play the Browns. But you look at 3 away games. I don't care what team you are. I don't care how good you're playing. When you talk about 3 away games back to back to back, that's stressful. That's going to hurt you in the stand. You know, can you go 2-1? Texans, Chargers, Lions, all on the road. That's what you'd be looking for. But even going 2-1, even if you beat the Browns this weekend, puts you at what, 8-6. You still have a bunch of games you must win at that point. 9-7 might not be enough to get it done in the AFC for the playoffs. And then you got the Bengals, of course, missing Joe Burrow. A lot of people think they're just going to falter. I saw someone say they're going to finish 6-11 on the season, and that might be the case. Raiders, Chargers, Jets, and then look at the Titans and the Patriots. No chance at all, in my opinion, of making the playoffs. But weird things have happened. The Jets need to figure stuff out on offense. I don't think they have what it takes to I don't think we're going to see Aaron Rodgers. He might be healthy and ready to go at a certain point, but I don't think we're going to see Aaron Rodgers this season just because, as he said, the Jets still need to be in contention when he comes back, and I just don't know if they're going to be. I don't know. 9-8 might not be enough. It won't be. I think you have to be 10-7 to make the playoffs in the AFC this year. Now, if you look at the NFC side of things, I said this before, and I still believe this to be true, to be honest with you. The 7 teams in the playoffs right now for the NFC are the 7 teams that are going to be in the playoffs come mid-January for the NFC. Seeding might be a little different, right? We still have plenty to play for, but I just feel like these 7 teams have proven they're the 7 best teams in the NFC. Number 1 seed Eagles, just being the Chiefs, have a good matchup against the Bills this weekend. listen, they're the number 1 overall seed right now, only 1 loss right now against them. Now, they do have a tough schedule coming up. The Bills, Niners, Cowboys, right? Tough 1, 2, 3 punch. And if you include the Chiefs in there, it's a tough 4-game stretch for the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's see how they look at the end of that. But right now, the best team in the NFL record-wise, and they're 2 games up on the top AFC team. So good Eagles team, might be the favorite from the NFC side to make it back to the Super Bowl. Like the Lions, likewise the other 49ers as well. The 49ers only lost 3 games, and all 3 of those games were without Debo and without one of their defensive linemen or offensive linemen, I believe, as well. So as long as the 49ers stay healthy, they'll be right there at the end of the season. The Lions, I mean, again, other than that one game against Baltimore where they looked really bad, they've looked really impressive the rest of the way. They did struggle a little bit against the Bears, but you know how those divisional matchups go. Always strange stuff happening in those divisional matchups. So I'm not going to hold against them that they struggle against the Bears. I think it's a point in their favor that they were able to come back from the deficit, 2 scores down in the fourth quarter to go ahead and get that win. I think, to me, that's very impressive. I actually had Saints, Vikings, Eagles, Niners, Lions, Cowboys, and Seahawks as my AFC playoff teams before the season started. I actually am correct on all 4 of the division winners in my bets so far as well. So I'm happy about that. Most importantly, I want to see the Lions and Saints win the divisions. But with the Saints, again, the NFC South just so bad this year. You just don't know what you're going to get, right? 5-5, so on top of the NFC South. Might have a team with a losing record in the playoffs for the winner of the NFC South. Cowboys, they're right up there. I always feel like the Cowboys late November, early December, and then January is where they start letting their fans down. So that time is coming up. The Seahawks, they fell after their loss last week. I think they can get right back on that boat, right back on that ship, and make things right again here coming up. Maybe the Geno Smith injury makes it harder for them, and including maybe a loss this weekend to the 49ers. But I still think they have time to right the ship and make it in the playoffs. Maybe the Vikings surpass them as the Vikings sit 6-5. But I think that's pretty much it. I mean, look at the Packers 4-6, Rams 4-6. Falcons 4-6. Falcons and Tampa Bay have a better chance of winning their division right now than they do a wild card spot. Look at the Rams and Packers. I know the Packers won last weekend, but they really haven't shown me enough to say, yeah, they can go on a stretch. Because these teams down here who are now 2 games back in the NFC wildcard picture, they don't just need to win 1 or 2 games that you thought they weren't going to win. Then they got a decent run here, right? Win 3-4 games in a row to really match up against the Vikings or match up against the Seahawks. Now, the Seahawks might be a team you can catch with the injury of Geno Smith, but it will take a run by one of those teams to get the job done. As you look at the other teams at the bottom right now, the Giants, no chance. Bears, no chance. Cardinals, no chance. Panthers, no chance. So I think the Saints will win the South at 9-8 or 10-7. Let's look at the Saints' remaining schedule and say, can they do that? I have the Saints win this weekend, which would put them up to 6-5 on the season. But I think those divisional matchups are going to be toss-ups for the remainder of the season. As far as they'll win some, they'll probably lose some going forward as well. Look at the Saints. I have the Saints beating the Falcons in Atlanta. Then they got the Lions. I would have that as a loss right now. Panthers, they'd win. Giants, they'd win. Rams would be a toss-up in LA. Buccaneers, a toss-up. And then the Falcons to end the year. So you look at that. I'll say a split with the Falcons. So 1 win there. Beat the Panthers, beat the Giants, and a split between the Rams and Buccaneers. That'd be 4 wins. I'd have them at 9-8. So, Cameron, I agree with you with your 9-8 prediction for the Saints. But this is the NFL. Anything can happen. And I look forward to watching it. I look forward to seeing you all next week. I'll give you my Week 13 picks. We'll go over what the playoff picture looks like at that point. The Bills will have a bye week, so we can calm down a little bit. Join me right here for, I'll say 3:55, 4 o'clock, somewhere around there on Sunday for the game between the Buffalo Bills and the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm looking forward to it because it could be a huge statement win for the Buffalo Bills. If they can get that win, and again, it's a good spot for the Bills to go up against the Eagles. We'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are too. I look forward to talking to you all soon. Until I do, go Bills.